Jaya Ramadava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So this evening we'll read from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, HG Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Prabhupada. And we'll be reading from Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness, Text 29. It's the last verse of the chapter. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhoktanam Yagatapasam Savalokamaheshwaram Suridim Savabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantam Richiti. Translation: a person in full consciousness of me, so is Krishna speaking, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than he. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. This 5th chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute. And the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God, as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter. For it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial toward anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which in every respect helps one control the senses and conquer the influence of desire and anger. Om Jnanativadandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. From my humble obeisances unto him. So one thing being brought up here is Srila Prabhupada mentions the last, says everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness. So we all feel that we have duties in this world. Most people will, you could say, accept that or acknowledge that idea that we have duties. People feel they have duties toward their spouse or to their children or to their society. There's some type of duty. We feel duty bound. But Srila Prabhupada mentions here that everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness. So it's not that we just do our duties in life as humans, but the idea is to do our duties in Krishna consciousness or God consciousness. Because sometimes people think that, well, if I do my duties to my family, it's a big one. Nothing against family, by the way. But people think that if I do my duties towards my family, then that's good enough. I'm a good person, that's good enough, I've done my duty. But the prime duty of a human being is to be God conscious, to be Krishna conscious, to reawaken one's love for Krishna, to reawaken one's love for God, and to help those who are our family members do that, to be a good example in that regard. There's many Bhagavad Gitas, and therefore Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual teacher here, to the left of me, he translated the Bhagavad Gita here, which we're reading from, and he added this here, as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Means that there's so many Bhagavad Gitas out there, and so many of them are misinterpretations. For example, we were hearing this morning that one interpretation, they said that Krishna was the caddy and Arjuna was the golfer, right? They made a movie out of it. Caddy means one who carries the golfer, right? Anyways, I'm sorry. Oh, the golf clubs. Okay, I'm not so learned in golf. Excuse me, but anyways, it's a wrong interpretation. But anyways, there's so many different interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita, and much of them are speculations and not in line with the actual message of the Bhagavad Gita as it's been passed through authentic traditions, such as this particular tradition, Gaudiya Vaishnav tradition, which Srila Prabhupada's coming in. Because just doing one's duty will not give us peace. Because it's not actually in line with our true nature. Our true nature, as Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saddha Kamanoi Shravanada Shuddha Chitta Koridoi, that our true nature is to be lovers of Krishna, or to be lovers of God. That's our nature. So we may be doing so many things in our lives, but if it's not reawakening our Krishna consciousness, then how can we expect peace from that? And this is what Krishna is saying here, that for a person who's conscious of me, fully conscious of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme enjoyer, the proprietor, the friend of all living entities, then that person attains peace. So the lack of peace in the world, collectively, there's a lot of lack of peace going on in the world, like the number one disease in the world, right? They say anxiety. So the lack of peace in the world is due to lack of God consciousness. And the lack of, if we analyze our own lives, if there's any lack of peace, that is due to lack of God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is encouraging us here. If you want to be peaceful, Krishna is saying, then be conscious of me. Of course, the goal is not peace, just like Arjuna, right? What happened at the end of Bhagavad Gita? Does anybody know? Did Arjuna sit down to meditate very peacefully? He fought. He engaged in war, actually. Like Prabhupada one time was asked, somebody brought up to Srila Prabhupada that, oh, Prabhupada, when everybody hears the message of Bhagavad Gita, then there'll be no more anger. And then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, what's wrong with anger? And he said, Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita just to make Arjuna angry, so he could fight. Because there was two sides, right? Classically, there's always two sides, right? Evil, good. So there's two sides. You had Duryodhana and all these really evil people, actually. And you had Yudhishthira and Arjuna in their group, right? So practically the battle was unavoidable, and ultimately it was for the good to remove these people from ruling the world and to establish Yudhishthira as the ruler, as a saintly person, devotee. So the goal is not peace. The goal is ultimately to reawaken our love for Krishna. But those of us who are interested in peace, Krishna is saying we can become peaceful like this. So does anybody have any questions or comments? We're going to show a little, what do you call these? Slideshow? Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. So that last point that you just made gave me a quick realization, and that is that peace comes from our loving Krishna. So many great things come from. So don't just go after peace, go after love of God, and peace will be there.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, because like Prabhupada would say, he would say, okay, you go to a king. Previously, there were so many kings, right? Rulers. And if you go to a king and they own so many things, or you go to the president of the United States, right? What's his name? I know his name. I'm just joking. What's up with this guy? Doesn't even know the president's name. I know his name, Mr. Biden. You go to Mr. Biden, right? And you say, oh, can you give me a bag of potato chips, Now, if he said, I could give you a lot more than that, I have a lot more wealth than that, I could give you a lot more than that. I could give you so much wealth that you won't, you'll be fully comfortable the rest of your life. And you say, no, just give me a bag of chips, So that's quite ridiculous, right? Why would anybody do that? So, chips for life. A lifetime supply of chips. Even that's kind of, right? Who would do that? Considered foolish. So if you go, so Srila Prabhupada gave an example. He said, if you go to a king and you say, oh, can you just give me a pinch of ashes? Like ashes what do you do with ashes? Any ideas? Smear them on your forehead? Not much you could do with ashes, right? So, but if you go to a very wealthy person, just give me a pinch of ashes, that's all I want. So he would say that to go to Krishna, to go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to ask for material things, is just like that. Why go to Krishna who could give so much more than that, and ask for such a small thing? Because the idea is, the ultimate goal of human life, again, is this love for Krishna, which is the highest form of happiness. It's incomparable with any other happiness. So again, like our friend is saying, that peace, Krishna Katha Prabhu is saying, peace is a byproduct. All of these things are actually a byproduct of serving God or loving God. It's all byproduct. It means it's a side thing. Don't need to ask for it. Just like we're getting close to Christmas, so just like within the biblical tradition, you have Jesus Christ, who is quite an intense personality, actually. Of course, he's known to be, very lovable and kind and peaceful, but he has some heavy statements in the Bible also, very strong renunciation statements. but his followers were worrying about, oh, what are we going to do for our food, right? And then Jesus said something like, God, he's providing for the birds and the animal. Why are you worrying so much? He said, you're serving God. Of course he's going to provide for you. He's providing for the birds and the, insects, and why are you worrying so much? Or another case, there was a man, he was coming to Jesus Christ and he said, I want to surrender and I want to become God conscious. And Jesus Christ said, okay, you come with me. He said, you give up all your riches, you give up all your wealth, and you come with me. And the man said, no, I can't do that. And then he turned back and he very morosely turned back and kept on walking. And that's where Jesus said that for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God, that it's easier to what is it? To thread a camel through the eye of a needle. Means a needle, used to sew. Thread a camel, so difficult. Now, someone would say, well, I'm a rich person, what do I do? Means that we shouldn't be attached to our wealth, just like we shouldn't be attached to anything really, materially. But this person, he rather have his wealth than have God, or have this, or specifically have the association of Jesus Christ. But anyways, like your original point, it's a byproduct. Everything else is a byproduct from our living Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right, any last question or comment? Yes.
In the end, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, near the end, there's a lot about peace, and there's kind of a definition of how to be peaceful.
Yes.
Krishna says, "Vihaya kama niksavam punam charadi nikspraha nimamodana hankara sashanti marigachati." One who gives up lusty desires, material desires, who lives free of desires, doesn't have any sense of possessiveness and no false ego, he's peaceful. Now, in the purport there, Prabhupada summarized how Arjuna was not peaceful because he wasn't desireless in the beginning of the Gita, right? He was covered by Krishna. And so Prabhupada says that real desirelessness is to desire for Krishna, you see?
Yeah.
And at first, Arjuna wanted to satisfy his own desires by not fighting. But then when he heard after he heard he agreed to fight for Krishna. So even though he was fighting, and externally he was angry and not peaceful, within he was peaceful. Because you remember how troubled he was when he didn't want to fight.
Yes.
And he drops his bow and he sits down in dejection. But there's a higher kind of peace when you're just doing Krishna's will, even if you're in the middle of a battle.
Yeah.
So that's I think important.
Thank you. Yeah, another thing is that if we become, or when we practice Krishna consciousness, or when we're serving Krishna, we could do things that we're good at. Means some people like to cook, so you could cook for Krishna. Some people they're musicians, they're writers, they're artists. Look at all this. Somebody painted all these. So there's so many things we could do in Krishna's service. So that's recommended. We do that. Instead of doing it for ourselves, we do it for Krishna. And as Srila Prabhupada was mentioning, this desirelessness means to give up one's own selfish desires and develop the desire to please Krishna through our activities. And that's a platform of peace. Also mentioned Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Sakala, Ashanta, Krishna Bhakta, Nishkama, Ateva Shanta. So bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, those who are desirous of bhukti, which is material enjoyment, mukti, liberation, and siddhi, like these mystic perfections, they can't attain peace. But Krishna Bhakta Nishkama, the devotee who is desireless, who doesn't have all these material desires, they can attain peace. So that's there also. Okay, all right, so is this going to work? We'll see. Well, that's me. All right. So some devotee here in the audience, they asked me how my trip was to India. I won't tell you who the devotee is because I don't want to embarrass him, but he asked me how the trip was to India, and his wife also. So I told him I snapped some pictures here and there, and I could share them with everybody here. So that's what we're doing now. So the first picture here, and I'll just tell you next each when we're ready. The first picture here is I snapped this photo. This is in Vietnam. By the way, just for just for everybody's knowledge, if you go through Vietnam, just to transfer to get onto another plane, you need a visa. So I learned a difficult way. So yes, just to transfer. But anyways, so see this person here? Apparently this person's the hat holder, see? He's got a bunch of hats there. Yeah, there's a big group of Buddhists there, and a lot of them were wearing these hats, but there was some extras, so she was the holder. Anyways, so you could go next. You can't really, I don't know. So this is the door of one devotee I stayed with. You can't see it so clear, but it says, it's a name for Krishna. Krishna means Mulidhar, holder of the flute. So his sign on his door says Mr. Mulidhar. So it's a name for Mr. Mulidhar, Mr. Dilip Chowdhury, and Mrs. Rupanjali Chowdhury's family. So anyways, this is their door. So go next. This is from their rooftop, Calcutta. Anybody from Calcutta here? No? Okay. Anyone's been to Calcutta here? Okay. So this is from a rooftop of their home. Okay, next. Next. This is their altar here. This is Radha Madhava picture and from Mayapur. All right, next. 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 So this is a group of devotees at a local temple, Radhagiridhari temple actually. Just like our temple is Radhagiridhari. So this is Radhagiridhari temple. This devotee is to the left of me. His name's Nila Madhava. He's the leader of the temple. And these are some of the local persons. I think this person in the pink shirt, I asked how he became a devotee. They said, oh, he's a new devotee. And they said, how did he become a new devotee? Or how did he become a devotee? And Nila Madhava told me, well, he was an electrician, and then he came to our temple to do some work on the temple, the lights and everything, and then he started chanting Hare Krishna, now he's a devotee. So anyways, next. So this is a group of locals at the temple, Radhagiridhari temple. They're cooking, as you can see, a feast for the deities and the devotees. They're inviting us for lunch that day, but we had some other places we needed to go. We were going to Srila Prabhupada's birthplace. But anyways, a happy group here. Okay, next. So this is Radhagiridhari. Radhagiridhari Temple, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Okay, next. This is Lord Nrsingadev, Radhagiridhari Temple. Okay, next. Next. This is a temple in Calcutta. Okay, next. So this is Bhakti Vinod Asan. This is in Calcutta, and it's the place where Srila Prabhupada, as a young man, he met his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura. And for many years, this place was dilapidated, and it was also just rented by many other people. But just recently, within the last few years, ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement, we purchased this property, and they really fixed it up. Altadanga. So, Srila Prabhupada, or you go next. Official building and property is maintained by ISKCON. Next. So this is a Murti of Srila Prabhupada's guru. So when Prabhupada was a young man, he was actually fed up by meeting all these gurus. So his friend Narendra Mullik, he invited him to meet this guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, and our Srila Prabhupada, he actually didn't want to go meet him because he was thinking, I've met all these gurus. They're all cheaters. They're all bogus. They're all materialistic, just after your money and all these. I don't want to meet him. But then Narendra Mullik, he said, please, you go meet this person. He's different. So Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, he came and to this exact place, and he met Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura. And Prabhupada was bowing down, offering his obeisances to Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, he told Srila Prabhupada and Narendra Mullik, he said, you two are young, educated men. Why don't you spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world? And then they had a whole long conversation about this. Because at the time, India was what? Dependent country. Was under the British rule. So Prabhupada was saying, first, we need to become free. Then we could preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura saying, no. Spreading the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Krishna, that's most important. So you need to do this. So and eventually, Srila Prabhupada was convinced, and over time, eventually he came to America, right? 1965. And the Hare Krishna movement started. Srila Prabhu joined the Hare Krishna movement in the early days. When did you join? 73. All right. And Vijay Prabhu? 78. Guru Krishna? 78. Okay. I got some and others here. Anyways, next. That's me. This is a place on the roof where Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura met Prabhupada. Next. This is a picture. Prabhupada's guru. We have a similar Vyasa Sansi. Next. These are some devotees in Mayapur. Next. So this is, I wish he was here actually right now. He's not here. Too bad. This is Rasikananda. He comes here often, actually. If you go to Seaport Village, when you go to Seaport Village, but anyway, Seaport Village is a nearby, most people know about that. But there's a devotee down there, Rasikananda, and Rasikananda, you know how he makes his money? Does anybody know? He stacks rocks. That's how he supports himself. He's like he gets these big rocks and then smaller ones and smaller ones and smaller ones, really high stacking. And everybody comes and they take pictures and they give donations to him. And this is how he sends his kids to college and how he supports his $2,500 rent in San Diego and all these things by stacking rocks. Yeah. So anyways, this is his family here, or some of his family. That's his mother and the white sari. So we were just visiting them, myself and a few others. Okay. This is in Mayapur. Yeah. Next. So this is on top of a roof, a picture taken on top of a rooftop of the temple in the distant there. See that temple? Yeah. Next. That's a TOVP temple. It's going to be one of the biggest temples, religious structures in the world when it's done. TOVP stands for Temple of, what is it? TOVP, Temple of Vedic Planetarium. The Vedic Planetarium. So it was a dream of Srila Prabhupada's. He wanted to build a humongous temple, which in the temple it will display the picture of the universe via planetarium, how it's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, our main scripture after the Bhagavad Gita. So this is in Mayapur. It's I don't know, maybe 4-hour drive from Calcutta. So it's coming up. It's a huge project. They still need a few $1 million. So if anybody's feeling generous, you could. There's no small or big donation, but yeah, it's okay. Next. This is Jagannath Tirtha. Remember him? Yeah. And this is Ananga Priya, I think. Anyways, Ananga Priya, because there's Ananga Gopi. Ananga Gopi? Ananga Gopi. Okay. This is Ananga Gopi. Sorry. Ananga Priya, Ananga Gopi. This is Ananga Gopi and Jagannath Tirtha, and this is their daughter, Hari Priya. So Jagannath Tirtha used to live here in San Diego. He actually got one of Srila Prabhupada's books from a friend. His friend was going to Grossmont College, and he got one of Srila Prabhupada's book from a book distributor. And this friend gave a book to Jagannath Tirtha, and Jagannath Tirtha read it, and he was really impressed. And he came to the temple, and I met him when he first came to the temple. And he was telling me how he read the whole Srimad Bhagavatam before he even visited the temple. And I was, oh, wow. Srimad Bhagavatam is, 12 cantos, 18,000 verses. And so he was working here at La Mesa at a TV station. I don't know, some whatever, KUS, whatever, I or something. As a graphic designer person, and then somehow or other he was offered this job to work on the big temple, TOVP temple. So he's been doing that now. He's living in Mayapur, and they're married, and they have their daughter Hari Priya, who's quite an energetic young girl, friendly. Yes, you could have the mic.
Just that painting on the wall of Krishna was done by Jagannath Tirtha.
Yeah, the painting on the wall with Krishna is done by him. So Hari Priya is friendly. She was going up to Mukunda Charana Prabhu when he visited with the Mogalila, and she was called Mukunda Jaja, which in Russian means uncle. So when I visited with Raj Mohan, she was going up with Raj Mohan and saying, Jaja, uncle. But for some reason, uncle, okay. But for some reason, Amogalila and myself, she wasn't saying Jaja too, but that's okay. Okay, next. So this is a kirtan in Mayapur. Quite a packed space there. Badahari Prabhu singing and some other devotees. The kirtan night. And Jumna Swami was there also. Okay, next. So this person here, I was walking back from this kirtan, and I was walking back to the place I was staying, and this person said, "Oh, are you part of the ISKCON San Diego temple?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, he was living there in Mayapur, and he said, "Oh, I watch all of your kirtans and your classes," means the temples, kirtans and classes, "and I've seen your classes too, and Srila Prabhu and others." And I said, "Okay, nice." He lives in Mayapur, and he's from India, yeah. And then he said, "Would you like me to buy you something? Let me buy you something." So I said, "Okay, fine, you could buy me something." And then we were at some shop, and he bought me a drink or whatever he bought me. And then I said, "What about yours? You know, aren't you going to get something?" And then he said, "Oh, I actually don't have enough." And I felt bad. I felt really bad, actually, because I didn't know. I mean, I thought he had enough for myself and him and whatever, and it was a Kaddish, and he said, "But that's okay. I have something at my home. I have some fruit." You know, and we were walking back because we were living in the same area, but I was feeling bad. So, I mean, it was nice of him, but so then we went up to where I was staying, and I said, "Okay, I have a gift for you." So I gave him this book, and he's reading it. And that's the book I wrote. Yeah. So, and he was very happy. He said, "Oh, I'm so happy." He said, "This is the best gift ever. Thank you." He's like really happy. And then I gave him some prasadam. I gave him some sweets that I had from Vrindavan. I gave him a bunch of sweets, and I said, "Here you go." And he said, "Thank you very much." And so, anyways, nice person. Okay, next. Yes.
He's so shy. This is a great book he wrote. It's called Prabhupada Day by Day, and he goes through it like a whole month, right?
Yes.
And he has all kinds of things about Prabhupada, and it's really well written. Do they have it in the store?
I could put some in the store.
Yeah.
I have some upstairs.
But he did a very good job. He's very modest, but...
Yeah. Okay. So this is a temple in Vrindavan. Okay, next. This is a nighttime Vrindavan. It's actually MVT, those of you know the MVT. Okay, next. So this is on the way to Govardhan. That's Krishna painted on a highway overpass. You don't see that in America, right? Okay, next. On the way to Govardhan, you see the sign there, Radhakund Govardhan. Next. Another Krishna painting. Next. Prabhupada's name, Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg, so the road is named after Prabhupada, or Srila Prabhupada, in Vrindavan. Main road, yeah. Next. So this is Radhakund. So, most holy place in the universe. All right, next. Another picture of Radhakund. Next. Next. This is the place of bathing place of Janavi Mata, Lord Nityananda's wife. So it's a secluded place. She's the wife of Lord Nityananda, and completely liberated and empowered, right? But she would bathe here regularly. So, okay, next. Next. So these are friends from Africa. It's at the Govardhan Retreat Center. So they're inviting me to Africa. So maybe I'll go. Okay, next. This is Giraj Swami signing his books. Okay, next. 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 You know what that is? That's the back of somebody's head. Okay, so I'm showing this for a reason. So this is on a flight to Turkey. For some reason, Indigo had has this logo. I'm not sure why. It says, I'm 16 going on 17. I'm not sure why they have that. Maybe there's 16-year-old airline going on 17. That's why. Anyways, but I'm 16 going on 17. You could think about it in terms of age, okay? I'm 16 going on 17. So this guy doesn't look like he's 16 going on 17, right? Anyways, next. Okay. So this is a person looking at their phone, a cat. So, I was thinking as humans, we have so much freedom to use our independence this way, that way. And sometimes people like political leaders, religious leaders, people like this, they get upset. They say the world is going to HELL, and everybody's sitting around watching CAT videos, The world's going to hell and everybody's watching cat videos. But anyways, there's something to that, because it is in a deplorable state, the world, and it needs a lot of help. So whether we're on front line helping, for example, we have devotees going out regularly to distribute Prabhupada's books in this month, or whether we're backline, meaning giving donations to help distribute books or support the temple, whatever it may be, it's good to try to do something for the good of humanity. Okay, next. Okay, so this is Istanbul Airport. If you see the sign there, there's a mosque, right? There's like a taxi, there's a gas station. Anyways, you see, yeah, there's that mosque there. So quite a country. Okay, next. So this is at in Istanbul. They had a book fair. The devotees, these are devotee in Istanbul distributing books. They had this huge book fair, and over 500,000 people attend this book fair over the course of 8 days. So devotees, they're very happy because they actually can't go out on the streets and distribute because of it's a 99, I think, percent Muslim country, and yeah, there's some restrictions. So they can't go out and distribute Hare Krishna books on the street, but they're doing this book fair, and they're very happy. And they have about 7 books in Turkish, and they're distributing. So, okay, next. Next. The guy's giving some money for a book, right? Good. Next. He's from Iran. He's got some Bhagavad Gitas, see? Next. 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 There's a group there of Turkish devotees. Okay.
There's a temple there?
There's a restaurant, and then above the restaurant they have a yoga studio, and they do their Sunday gatherings there. Okay, go back. So her name's on the right. Her name's Megambari. She's a disciple of Shivaram Swami. So she just distributed a Bhagavad Gita to this girl. And Megambari, she's one of the biggest she's the biggest book distributor in Istanbul. And she has a bit of a competition going on with somebody in Ankara, which is the capital. So there's like one big book distributor in Ankara and one big book distributor in Istanbul. So she's one of them. So quite a friendly devotee. She gets a lot of people to take books. Okay, next. 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 Okay, back. It's a police officer getting the book. Okay, next. Okay, we gave a talk there. Okay, next. This is the skyline here of Istanbul. Okay, next. This guy's carrying bread on his head. Okay, next. So this is an Ankara. Okay, next. Ankara is the capital of Turkey, and it's they actually never had a sannyasi or a brahmachari or any traveling monk visit them, or any visitor at all, really. The devotees there in Ankara. So I got the opportunity to do that. Okay, next. 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 So this here, we're having a class, and one of the girls in the class, she was asking a question, and she said, because we were chanting Hare Krishna, and then she said, oh, it's interesting because I just got a cat recently, and I named the cat Hare. And I said, oh, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, what does Hare mean in Turkish? And she said, Hare means the glitter in your eye. So she said, this cat is very energetic. It's always jumping around, here and there, here and there, here and there. So she said, I'm always going, oh, Hare, 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 chanting Hare, Hare, Hare. So then I said, well, maybe you should get another cat and name him Krishna, And then she said, well, I actually just got another cat and I named him another name. And I said, okay. And I said, well, you've been chanting Hare, 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 Hare. And I said, now you have the full mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I said, now you could chant the full mantra. So she said she would chant it. And later, when I was talking with the devotees after this program, a couple days after this program, the girl was telling the devotees that, oh yeah, tell the speaker Balaram that I could sense that he's a very spiritual person, and I'm getting older now, and I need to get married. And if you could please ask him to pray for me to find somebody. Which a lot of the devotees were, whatever, Hare Krishna. So I said, I pray that she meets a devotee and gets married. And, she becomes a devotee, meets a devotee. Okay. So this is at a government building. They got this space. Okay, next. 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 This is the last picture here, Ankara. So anyways, that's some pictures of my travel. Prabhupada, when Prabhupada met, okay, you could turn the lights on. When Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada first met Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura was encouraging him, you go to the West and you spread the message of Krishna, you spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and Prabhupada did that. And then his followers also did that throughout the world. So, showing some pictures from going to Turkey, it's for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. It's for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada's Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, and it's actually the prediction. It's actually what they wanted. they wanted this to spread throughout the whole entire world. So we have our corner here in San Diego, and we're trying to spread Krishna consciousness here. And this particular month of December is traditionally a month in which we try to distribute as many of these books as possible. So, like you have a Moga Lila here and others on a marathon, they're going out practically every day for many hours a day to many different locations around. And if we can't do that personally, then we could also sponsor books. 1 book, 5 books, 10 books. Means if we give some donation to sponsor books, when they're all out on the streets or wherever they're going, Balboa Park here and there, if somebody doesn't have enough money, then they could give them a book at a cheaper cost, because we need to reprint the books. If we give them out for free, then we need to reprint them. So that's also a consideration. Okay. So does anybody have any question or comment about? I just got back on Monday night. Yeah. I was in India and Turkey for the last month. So. No. Just I have those 2 and that was it. So I have it upstairs. I could show it to you. It's called Day by Day with Srila Prabhupada. Yes.
If we, in this gathering, want to give a donation to print more books, who do we hand that money to? To you? To Amoga Lila?
The person in the... Okay, Moga Lila.
Okay.
Yeah, this man in the orange here.
I've been collecting Lakshmi all week, so
Oh, really?
it's from many people, so I'll give it to you.
All right, good. Yeah. So this small presentation wasn't meant to be like a full, like a full tour or something of Vrindavan, or a full tour of Mayapur, or a full tour of Turkey at all. It was just a little glimpse. I have more pictures that I didn't put here. I mean, we just spent 30 minutes looking at those. But also, one thing is looking at a screen, right? We do plenty of that these days, look at screens, phones, whatever, this screen, that screen, so many screens. But another thing is, if possible, everybody should go. If you want a full tour of Vrindavan, just go to Vrindavan, because looking at screen, I mean, there's something there, but if you actually, want to experience Vrindavan or some outreach in Turkey, you could come with me, or Mayapur, then, you could go. That's the, and another thing is that we can't just experience Vrindavan with our eyes anyway. Means the holy places are not accessible by mundane senses. We have to become purified by engaging our senses in Krishna service, by chanting Hare Krishna, by engaging in the process of bhakti. We become purified and we're able to experience Vrindavan. And by the way, Vrindavan's all pervading, means the spiritual realm is all pervading. And this, we're here in this temple, this is also Govardhan, New Govardhan. It is a spiritual place. So, yeah. If we can't go to Vrindavan, we could be here also and experience, if we're so fortunate. Okay, so we'll stop there, and now we're going to have kirtan, and then after that, we'll serve dinner at 7:15. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Jai Balaram. Haribo.